Aloha and welcome to part 4 of the Flat Earth Trutheresy series. The complete schooling and debunking of the Flat Earth. That's why not one single thing in nature is truly flat. The truth is that nature reveals the truth, and the truth is the sphere.
So we have time zones, the idea of time zones. Eric, the existence of time zones. How can we have time zones if the Earth is flat? I mean, we should all be seeing the sun. I mean, if the Earth is not rotating on its own axis, then we should all be experiencing, the same daylight at the same time, shouldn't we?
The sun is not 93 million miles away, as we're told, nor is the Earth a ball spinning around it. In fact, the Earth is a flat plane, and the sun is a disk that spins over and around the Earth in circles every day. Same with the moon. If you can imagine the Yin Yang sign, the Chinese Yin Yang symbol is actually a symbol representing the sun and the moon's path over the flat Earth. So imagine the Yin Yang spiraling in a circle. The sun, you can't see the sun all over the Earth from every point at all times. And time zones are caused by its motion over the flat Earth, over and around it.
So you claim the sun is not 93 million miles away and that it's only 3,000 miles away, which we will be getting back to, nor is the Earth a spinning ball, which we will also be getting back to later. So he says, in fact, the Earth is a flat plane and that the sun disk spins over and around, circling the Earth, the flat Earth, and it's the same for the moon. So then he makes the absurd claim that the yin and yang symbol represents the sun and the moon over the flat Earth. Again, complete bullshit and 100% lies. So once again, he mixes the truth with the lies. So the truth is, yes, the yin and yang symbol does basically represent the sun and the moon, which really it represents light and darkness. But nowhere does it say that it represents them circling over the flat Earth. That was complete lies. The true meaning of the ancient Chinese yin and yang or I Ching symbol is the same bull, or the symbol of our dualistic world of polar opposites. The bi-bulls of red and blue. The seasons of time, day and night, summer and winter, life and death, positive, negative. Yang, the sun, is like man, and yin, the moon, is like woman. As above, so below. And you'll notice the Hermetic maxim is not as from one side to another. It's above and below, which is the true meaning of the yin and yang symbol, which is why the yang, or the white sunlight, is on top, and the yin, or the dark moonlight, is on the bottom. Which brings us to the true meaning of the yin and yang symbol itself, which really means the bright light of the day and the shady darkness of the night in relationship to a mound or a hill, which is like a dome, not a flat shape. So the yin and yang symbolize the sun and moon and the primordial mound, like we find throughout the ancient world. In fact, I have explained this elite symbolism many times over the years. The truth that Mr. Doobie does not want you to know is that this ancient philosophical sign symbolizes nature, the sun and the moon, the top north and south bottom, the seasonal changes throughout the annual year. The yin and yang was created because the ancient Chinese observed and documented the ecliptic of the sun and the moon, the seasonal round path of the vernal equinox, the autumnal equinox, and the summer solstice and the winter solstice, using the sunrise and sunset and the dipper positions. So they observed and documented our natural world, and they used the dipper positions throughout the year to determine which season it is. So the truth is, the yin and yang symbol has to do with round spherical nature, not the flat earth or anything flat whatsoever. You see, this connection with nature and the natural truth of the seasons, day and night, the ecliptic of the sun and the moon, is where the flat earth model crumbles apart. So let's expose the flat-out bullshit and the non-functioning, illogical, false, flat earth model that goes against every logical and rational thought of known science and physics. The flat earth model has no base or foundational logic in reality, which is why they cannot explain nature and the cycles we experience throughout the year. The flat earth model cannot explain day and night, seasonal changes, the equinoxes, and the solstices of the annual crossings, the moon phases, eclipses, and the list goes on and on, because flat fakeness is not from nature. Which is why not one flat earther can show you an actual functioning, working model of the flat earth.
How can we have time zones if the earth is flat? I mean, we should all be seeing, the same daylight at the same time, shouldn't we?
Without question, you are correct. The truth is that on a flat plane or a surface, regardless of how large or big it is, you cannot stop light from illuminating the entire surface once it has risen above the flat plane level. Because the truth is, the light or the light wavelengths travel in straight lines. Light travels in a linear or straight line path, unless that light beam or ray of light is obstructed in some way or form by either an atmosphere or a substance like water, or a hard surface or a reflective surface, or even a force. So the sight of light is infinite, which is provable because we can actually see the moon, for one, which is very, very far away, of 221,000 miles plus. And if you want to go with the Eric Dubie's calculations, it's at least 3,000 miles away. And of course, the sun is 93 million miles away, or in Eric Dubie's version, the 3,000 miles away. But our ability to see the even farther stars proves that we have the ability, obviously, to see infinitely. And of course, the flat-out liars, or the flatheads, want you to believe that light, once on top of a flat surface, can actually stop in midair and die off, and therefore it's not visible anymore. They want us to believe the lie of magic light. In reality, or in the real world we live in, light does not just stop and cut off for no reason. Either does our eyesight. The truth is that only in a fake, man-made world of the computer matrix can we con the light and control it. 3D animation programs is where the FLATheads thought of this concept. As you can see, a 3D program can manipulate the light in countless ways, including the ability to give the light source a range of light area, or in other words, to stop and be cut off, which of course is impossible in the real world. The flat-out Earth liars, of course, know that most people are not aware of this and actually fall for their fall-off LightCon. The funniest thing about this flat Earth model con is that they hope that you don't think and use your brain, because if the sunlight stops, then how does the moonlight shine? Because the sunlight has stopped. Therefore, it could not illuminate the moon at all. Another classic example of their bullshit. The con continues with Eric Dubious saying that the sun and the moon are disks, which is another example of his complete fabrications, because no matter how you construct the mod L, flat disks can be eliminated with logical ease, because we can clearly see flat disks do not form or cast shadows like real spherical objects do. In real life, we do not observe flat disks, horizontal nor vertical. If the sun and moon disks were horizontal, as Eric showed, how does the sunlight reflect and give the moon its light? It couldn't, and it doesn't. Again, pure magic light bullshit. You know, he's so full of shit that he has not just one position for the flat disks. Eric Dubious is so full of shit that he has not just one position for the flat disk bull, not even two by bullshit theories, but three different layouts of how the sun and moon function in his make-believe fake world. Horizontal nor vertical sun and moon disks work, period. And his third bullshit layout now has the moon orbiting inside and the sun outside. What happened to Yin and Yang, Eric? So, I actually placed a man there on his flat model to get the true perspective, and as you can clearly see, there are no moon phases at all, other than the two light phases found on a flat disk. Either it's 100% dark and absent of light, or it's illuminated by the light 100%. You see, it's either black or it's white. The shades of gray in the phases, like I said, proves a spherical object against a two-dimensional object, which is black and white. But a three-dimensional object has black, white, and gray. Notice how the flat geometric shapes have solid colors or shades, either dark or light, while the shading of the sphere reveals the broad spectrum from light to dark, including the grays. In fact, spherical shadows are exactly what we find when we observe our moon and its phases, 100%. In fact, this is how we know that not only is our moon spherical and goes through phases, but the planets in our solar system are also spherical in nature because of the spherical shadowing planets exhibit through telescopes.
And the sun is a disk that spins over and around the Earth in circles every day. Same with the moon.
No it's not, Eric, so stop lying to people and deceiving them.
And the sun is a disk that spins over and around the Earth.
Shut up!
And the sun is a disk that spins...
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over!
And the sun is a disk...
Shut up! Did I say it again. Say something else. Oh! Say something else. Say something else, nigga.
So, without question, we can eliminate the flat disk theory 100% because it cannot, in any way, shape, or form, produce the natural occurring moon phases that are created with a spherical ball.
Notice that no matter where the moon is in its orbit, half of it is always lit up by the sun. But when the moon is in this position, I can't see any of the lighted side of the moon from Earth, my head. From this angle, you can see what I am seeing from Earth. We call this new moon. When it's new moon, we look up at the sky and we can't see the moon. It's there, but the side that's reflecting sunlight is away from us. Now, as I slowly make the moon orbit to my left, I can begin to see a tiny sliver of that lighted side. We call that a crescent moon. As the moon keeps orbiting, we can see more and more of that lighted side. We see half of the lighted half, which is a quarter moon. In this case, a first quarter moon. As we keep orbiting, we see almost the whole lighted side. We call that a gibbous moon. Then, when we can see the entire lighted half of the moon, that's a full moon. As the moon continues in its orbit, we begin to see less and less of that lighted side. We're back to a gibbous moon, but this time the light is on the opposite side. Then another quarter moon, last quarter moon to be exact. Another crescent, and finally back to new moon. And the cycle begins again.
So the moon shadowing and the planet shadowing, for that fact, proves that they are spheres and not flat disks, like Eric Dubious wants you to believe. So without question, we can eliminate flat disks of the sun and moon 100%. And that's why the flat-out liar, Eric Dubious Doobie, cannot show you a working, functioning flat Earth model that actually can show you functioning sun and moon rotations around the Earth. They can't show you the moon phases. They can't not show you the eclipse of the sun and the moon. And of course, Eric knows this, and that's why he had to change from his yin and yang bullshit theory to another theory, or his third theory. He eliminated the two flat disks revolving, and now he's on his third theory. And of course, Eric Doobie had to copy the actual system that we use, because he realized that the spherical earthers are correct, and the flat earthers and their bullshit system of the revolving, spinning sun and moon disks does not work. I seriously cannot believe this flat-out lying, bullshitting con man. He's sitting here telling people that this is the perspective of the moon phases, which I just proved is complete bullshit and 100% flat-out lies. In fact, I challenge anyone to show, demonstrate, and prove on a working, functioning model system that would actually show what he's talking about. Because what he's talking about right here is complete bullshit, 100%. You cannot produce moon phases the way he's showing you whatsoever. And right here, I'm proving it. From all angles and from all viewpoints, you can clearly see that he's a big fat liar. Excuse me, he's a big flat-out liar. So I challenge anyone to prove me wrong.
And the sun is a disk that spins over
Bro,
and
shut up! I said don't say a word.
If you were a true martial artist and had honor, respect, and dignity, you would take your flat disc theory and come clean and admit that you had it wrong. So you can create and play make-believe and fairy tale all you want and come up with any model you want, but the truth is, it'll boil down to the truth, and the truth is nature, which is spherical. So go ahead and, try to come up with whatever excuse you want for the flat earth model. It will never work, period. And that's why the flat earth model cannot even show you basic things in nature like day and night. They fail completely when trying to even show you the most basic thing of a day and a night. They simply can't do it. And as I showed before, once a light is on a flat plane, it stays on a flat plane the entire time. So the truth is, the entire surface would be illuminated all over the flat plane, because you cannot stop light. But even if you play make-believe and stop the light like they're lying to us and trying to make us believe, it still doesn't work. So they're full of shit regardless either way. So when it comes to the simple day and night, the flat earth model fails 100%. But notice how the truth of the spherical simplicity answers the question simply. So to prove that the entire surface is lit up or illuminated when the sun rises, it's proof every day when the sun rises and sets, as we clearly see that we have the light up until the very moment until it sets. And like I said, when you place a light on a flat plane, the entire surface is illuminated, and during the time that the light is on top of that flat plane, no matter how far away you put the light, it will always be visible above the flat and level plane. And you're trying to say the sun is 3,000 miles up? Well, I put the light on the surface and I couldn't even make it disappear. Behind no horizon, nothing. The light is always visible, because it's impossible for a light to drop below a surface when it never drops below a surface. It's complete lies and bullshit. Besides, people think, here's the sun right in front of us. If it was to go away and go beyond our perceptual view, then it would get smaller and smaller till we couldn't see it no more. It totally debunks his stupid theory. Just use your brain. And that's why no matter how hard they try, the flat earthers cannot produce a sunset or a sunrise that comes over or below the horizon line, because on a flat plane it's simply impossible. Now, you'll notice that from sunrise to sunset, when we can observe it with our eyes, is always the same size, which totally debunks the flat earthers trying to say that the sun and moon spin around the flat earth and it's so big it disappears over the horizon, which is complete bullshit, because then it would disappear to a small little speck till we couldn't see it no more. It would be huge over our heads, and then it would be tiny as it goes into the distance. But it doesn't happen that way whatsoever. The sun remains the same size the entire time, which completely debunks that theory 100%. So, Mr. Dubious, how come your sun is no longer spinning around with the moon with your Yin and Yang theory? Threw that one out the door, huh? Yeah. So now you are trying to fool the sheep and say there are moon phases that are circling around, which there isn't, and I proved it. And you have the sun now in a stationary position. Is that how your little fake flat earth mod L works, Mr. Dubious? Where's the day and night? The simple truth of day and night, Eric. Show us. Try to produce it. Where's the seasons? Where are they? Where's the moon phases? Where are the solstices? Where are the equinoxes, Eric? Show us the longest and shortest day of the year on your fake mod L. So I completely debunked your flat disk sun and moon bullshit, as well as your light that magically stops. Judgment for the spherical earthers 100%. And of course, no matter how hard they try, they cannot produce a working, functioning model that can even remotely show you how the flat earth model works for a simple day and night. And of course, the sunset dipping below the horizon and the sunrise coming over the horizon. So, once again, the judgment is for the spherical earthers. And of course, like I explained, the flat earth model, the discs, and even if they used spherical balls, it doesn't matter. They cannot in any way, shape, or form produce moon phases whatsoever. I would love Mr. Dubious to show how the flat earth model can exhibit the difference between the moon phases and the moon rotation difference of 28 days versus 30 days.
Another epic fail. Judgment for the spherical earthers.
And of course, no matter how hard they try, no matter what model they present or try to convince you of, which is why they don't show you, they cannot produce the eclipses of the sun and the moon. It's actually funny listening to flat earthers try to explain away their bullshit when the truth is very simplistic, which is why the natural simple truth is that the sphere of the moon revolves around the sphere of the earth, thus causing the natural simple eclipses. So when it comes to the natural occurring eclipses of the sun and the moon, the flat earth mod L fails once again. Judgment for the spherical earthers.
You big dummy!
And of course, these flathead dumbites have absolutely no clue, and they cannot show and produce a working, functioning model that can exhibit and prove how the seasons work. Once again, the flatheads fail miserably. And once again, the jury finds the flat earthers guilty of bullshit, which is why the judgment is for the spherical earthers. And of course, you'll notice how the natural nature of truth is simply the simplicity of the sphere.
The tilting of the axis results in direct sunlight falling on different places during different seasons. This causes variations in the duration of days, nights, and seasons.
As the truth unfolds, their bullshit gets deeper and deeper. I mean, when it comes to trying to explain the simplicity of nature and the solstices, it is so ridiculous listening to these fools, these flatheads, try to explain the sun standing still. Come on, Eric Dubious. Show us an example.
Basically, what we have is the solstice. It comes from the Latin word, which means sun stands still, when the sun stands overhead seemingly for days. And that's really the case. What's happening is it appears that the sun goes from up here to the Tropic of Cancer. So what's happening is it's as far north as the sun will be, basically, for us. So that's why we have, with the Earth tilted this way, we have the warmest, most direct rays of the sun. That's the Tropic of Cancer. This is the equator. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. So at noon tomorrow, or basically noon the first day of summer, you basically have it right overhead, the Tropic of Cancer. This is spring and fall as the sun makes its journey back and forth. This would be the first day of winter with the sun angle the lowest in the sky, furthest away from us. So as the sun's going back and forth, it goes up, it accelerates, and it slows down. This is why the sunset is at 9:30 for almost 15 straight days, because the sun gets here, it slows down, then it starts to come back. It's the first day of spring and the first day of autumn autumn, that the day length is changing rapidly, but then it slows down for that first day of winter as well. So tomorrow, we've got the sun right there. It begins here, and it will end here. This will be...
Seriously, I feel like I'm picking on a retard. Judgment for the spherical earthers. So they fail on the solstices, and they certainly once again fail on producing a working, functioning model that can show us how the equinoxes work. The time of equal, the time of the spring vernal equinox, and the autumnal fall equinox. Show us how the flat earth model shows 2 days of the year that are the longest and the shortest, Eric. Show us how they are equal. Once again, the bullshit award goes to the flatheads. The spherical earthers win once again. And of course, the flat earthers cannot in any way, shape, or form produce a working, functioning model that exhibits and shows how the sun produces the viewable and provable fact of the sun analemma.
To measure the year against the passing of the seasons. Because of the tilt of the Earth on its axis, the position of the sun in the sky changes from day to day throughout the year. If we were to take a picture of the sun at noon regularly throughout the year, we would see the sun moving on this path called an analemma. On the days in its orbit when the Earth is at a maximum tilt towards or away from the sun, the length of the daylight is at a maximum or a minimum. These days are called solstices, and the sun will be at the top left or bottom right of the analemma. On the days when the Earth's tilt is perfectly sideways to the sun, the day and night are equal in length. These are the equinoxes, and the sun will be at this crossover position in the analemma. When the sun goes from one vernal equinox to the next, a tropical year has passed.
Poor little shady Shaggy, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, lost again, and wins the bullshit award. The judgment is obviously for the spherical earthers of truth. The burden of proof lies upon them to prove their points, which of course they fail every single attribute that is required in order to prove something, especially a functioning, working model of our world. And of course, once again, the spherical globe of natural truth explains everything simply because it's the spherical truth. And the truth is, anyone with half a brain, 2 brain cells even, can simply figure out that their bullshit system doesn't add up whatsoever. It does not produce any logical, functioning, working system that can actually show and prove without question how all of these naturally occurring earthly effects happen. So that's why you're not able to show the temperature variations that the Earth exhibits, the heat and cold patterns, and the wind patterns. So that's why they can't explain the differences in temperature on different parts of the Earth at the same times. And of course, they cannot explain how we are able to view the moon from different angles from different parts of the Earth at the same time. And it's absolutely shameful listening to these flatheads try to explain their bullshit. Like this guy who made a video called How to See an Upside Down Moon on the Flat Earth. And of course, like all of the videos, they sit there and babble on and can never show you even remotely close to what they're talking about. They cannot show you actual proof. All they do is repeat themselves over and over. But where's the beef, baby? Where's the proof? The actual proof of what you're talking about. There is none. You can't do it. That's why. And of course, the reason you didn't show the people is because when you did it, you saw yourself that it wasn't true, so therefore you couldn't make an example. You had to just talk about it. So I did what you didn't do, and I actually made the flat Earth, and then of course I put the sun and moon on it and rotated them, and from two different perspectives we look at the moon, and once again it's the same exact moon. It does not flip upside down whatsoever. So I simply made a round spherical Earth and a round spherical moon, placed two people on the north and south poles, and wow, it simply produces the truth from nature. The moon from one angle and the other from the northern and southern hemisphere, which is obviously the truth. Once again, the flat earthers fail beyond belief, and the spherical earthers win with simple, natural ease. It's astonishing that people are actually this dumb to fall for their bullshit. Some of these guys are so embarrassing. I mean, I'm ashamed for them. Like this guy makes a video called Flat Earth, Sun Setting, Finally Explained. But instead he babbles on for like 15 minutes, never showing anything whatsoever. But a small amateur lesson on perspective is all he does. So he's trying to spew the bullshit that the sun disappears over the horizon because it gets so small and it disappears. But that's complete bullshit, as I prove, because the sun would be gigantic over our heads and then turn into a tiny little small little ball that disappears over the horizon. But that never happens, does it? The truth is, the sun is not gigantic and then tiny, tiny, tiny small where we can't see it. No, the truth is simple. From the time the sun rises to the time the sun sets, it stays the same relative size. And of course, like I said before, that's exactly why they will not actually show you what they're talking about. They just talk and spew bullshit to try to convince you. So anyway, this guy has a 3D program. He could have easily shown you what he was talking about, because in the 3D program they can be used to reveal the truth and they could be used to fool somebody with. But the reason he didn't show you is because he realized as the sun got smaller, the ball was getting too small, and he knew that we would call bullshit if we saw how huge the ball was at one point and how tiny it was at another point. We would know that it was full of bullshit. So he had to only show you a small little distance to try to convince you of the truth, which, as you now can clearly see, is complete bullshit 100%. On a flat plane surface, a light above it can never drop below it. And you can make a 4-hour video trying to explain it. But all we want is a 1-minute video that can show it. Just like I did right here. I made these. They're simple to do. You look like you can really use that program real well, so why couldn't you just simply show us what you were talking about? The real truth and the reason why you did not show the actual proof is because there is no proof, and you knew 100% that what you were trying to spew was bullshit, because the sun remains the relative same size from sunrise to noon to sunset. And that is not a theory or an opinion. It's pure fact. So your video was a complete failure. Period. Seriously, I feel like I'm picking on a retard, like I said earlier. I mean, I just can't believe the sheep of El are this dumb. Which is proven in the very fact that 368 of these dumb and dumbers actually agreed. And then you have this flathead dummite called the Circle of Terra, who made a flat earth video who's going to show us about the sun horizon, the vanishing point, perspective, and our physical world on our flat earth. Which, of course, she never does. She shows our real sun setting, and then tries to convince you of this. They show a light on a flat table surface, and then they have a camera that drops below the ledge of the edge, below the eye level, and then they bring the light back and forth and say that's how the sunset is achieved, and that's why they show the little happy face and they show you a real sunset. So the truth of this video is that they started above the plane surface, up high with the camera, and then went down to eye level surface and then dropped below the edge of the ledge, which actually proves that flat Earth is bullshit, and actually proved the round spherical Earth is the only way the true effect can happen, and that this explanation is complete bullshit and lies, and actually had to drop below the edge of the ledge to prove it. It's absolutely embarrassing. As dumb could be.
I like her a lot. No beef, bullshit.
And by the way, a very simple way to prove the Earth is a sphere and round is that when the sun is rising and setting, you'll notice something. You'll notice how you can't see the sun yet, can you? It's all dark. But we see the sun coming over the horizon. Well, we don't see the sun, we see the sunlight. You see the sunlight shining first upon the angle on the clouds that we can see above our eyes, until the sun goes up to midday, and then it goes and sets again, and we see the same exact thing again. We no longer see the sun, and that's why it turns dark where we are. But it always has a time period because of the angle of the round spherical Earth. The light rays are still beaming upwards on the angle of the Earth, which is why we see them. We are witnessing what appears to be the sun going below the horizon. It's actually the Earth spinning, which we'll talk about later, but for now, from our perspective, it appears as though the sun and the stars circle the Earth, which we're going to go over later, but for now, as we see the sun setting below the horizon, the viewable light of the sun as it sets beyond the horizon and goes around the curvature of the Earth, we view the light still because of the viewable angle where the light is. Because if it was a sharp edge corner, the light would actually have a sharp edge to it and not a gradient appearance, as we clearly see with our spherical Earth. As we clearly have shown before, the attributes between the sphere and a flat disk plane are night and day, because the sphere has an unlimited shadow potential, while a flat plane can only exhibit two phases, either light or dark. The flat Earth model is an embarrassment to the human race. And of course, if I wanted to even begin to start to debunk them as far as the stars, the celestial world we live in with our planets, are you joking? These guys can't even produce the sun and the moon, let alone produce a working, functioning, planetary, celestial, astronomical system that actually works. Remember the failed sunset guy? He's the same guy making a video saying, planets don't exist. And of course, he has the comments disabled. So part 4 was all about showing how the embarrassment of the flatheads cannot produce even one functioning, working model that exhibits anything that we see in our natural world. And believe me, I'm just getting started. I have so much more information to cover. I've probably covered only about 2/10 of what I'm going to cover. I have so much more in part 5 that I'm going to debunk every single one of the claims that they hold on to. I'm going to show you how every single thing, not just some, but every single thing they know and speak of is complete bullshit, and I will debunk it 100%, one by one, until every flat earther out there cannot hide behind a rock, cannot crawl under a rock and hide from the truth. You're going to face the truth. And each and every person that is a flathead is going to come to face the truth. And that's going to happen one way or another. So like I said, they are not just wrong about some of the things, they're wrong about all of the things they claim. That's why these guys are called a one-trick pony. And once I debunk their one trick, they will have no tricks whatsoever. And believe me, being a copycat is not going to save you in part 5. So in the first few parts of this series, I showed several times the natural forming form of the sphere that forms naturally in nature. And I showed thousands of examples, literally, and I showed how the spherical form takes the form of the sphere everywhere throughout our kingdom of our world and in space, as we see that a water drop will form here on Earth as well as in space, naturally. That's why all the planets are spheres, just like Earth is a sphere. Now, if you even think for one moment and you actually tried to show that there is something flat, you'll come to realize, like everyone else in the world did, that probably tried to debunk my, philosophies that everything is spherical. And when you go to nature and you look that there is absolutely nothing flat besides the viewable perspective of a flat horizon, you'll realize that there is absolutely nothing flat in nature whatsoever. Which is why nobody responded to me. Until recently. There was absolutely a funny dude who wrote in or made a comment and left a picture saying, "Oh, everything in the world is spherical? Well, look at this." And he shows a picture of like the Grand Canyon or something, trying to say it's flat. I mean, a prime example of how freaking retarded these flatheads are. And by the way, as an example of what part 5 will be like, I'll give you a little taste. So, the flat earthers claim that we're spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour and how ridiculous all that is, and the planets and everything, how stupid. And then they turn around and say that we are now stationary and that everything else is okay to be spinning around us. Completely ridiculous. But anyway, let's move on to the very fact that they are freaking stupid, because centrifugal force of a spinning object is increased as it spins faster and faster. But you see, I want you to sit and look at the Earth and watch a live feed of it, if we could, and we will one day. You can watch a video of the Earth spinning 1 revolution in 24 hours. An object that spins 1 time in 24 hours is not spinning around thousands and thousands of miles an hour like they want us to believe. They're trying to fool you. Think of the truth. We do 1 revolution, 1 spin per day, per 24 hours. So if you were to sit there and watch a ball spinning in 24 hours, it's so slow, you really can't even barely see it from that perspective. From the global, universal perspective, the 1,000 miles an hour sounds like a lot to us because we're little puny humans, like an ant. But to universal standards, it's nothing. And I'm going to explain all that in part 5 even further. So, like I said, the flat earthers are saying 1,000 miles an hour, so it makes you think that something is spinning around super fast, and therefore the Earth in the equator zone would, bulge out now because of the centrifugal force. Which would be true if it was spinning around on its axis thousands of miles per hour. Well, not per hour, because that's not universal standards, that's human perspective. But if that Earth was to be spinning around super fast, then yes, everything on it would fly off. Even though there is gravity that is being pulled to the center of the Earth. Imagine watching a video of the Earth spinning around one time in 24 hours. Anyway, that's why this airplane does not fly off, or humans on Earth don't go flying off, because the Earth is spinning super slow in relevance to its surroundings and to the universal standards. So I hope it's crystal ball clear to you that an object that makes one spin in 24 hours is barely moving at all. And if an object was to spin one revolution in an hour, it's incredibly beyond slow, beyond belief. But one revolution in 24 hours is incredibly slow, even from our standards. So now you know why the truth is that from our perspective, from the ground all the way to as far up as we can go, and what you agree with doesn't matter, because all of the pictures are relevant to one another and actually support one another, and it's the exact same view we get from flying in an airplane, or the views that we get from these high altitude balloons, rockets, and high altitude airplanes. And of course the NASA photos, everything. Well, NASA photos, who gives a shit if they doctor them or not? It doesn't matter. Because the truth is that everything is consistent all the way through. So in part 5, I'll be going more into that as well. But even Eric Dubious's video right here, his own video that he's trying to prove the Earth is flat, he proves that it's spherical totally 100%. Think of a sphere, get ready to look at the left side of the sphere, and you'll go over to the right side of the sphere. Unbelievable. Believe me, part 5 is going to take each and every one of these idiotic things that they hold on to, and I'm going to debunk every single one. Aloha, peace, love, and wisdom.
And the sun is a disk.
Shut up!